I don't know if anybody ever follows a guy on YouTube called, his name is Trey Smith. And you talk about somebody who does research. He doesn't post like regularly, but it's all biblical based pretty much. But talk about somebody that does research. I mean, he's like at the biblical sites and pulling it all. I mean, showing how it's all, the Bible's true. We already know that. People that, are awake. So he put up a video just about 2 hours ago, a little less, called "The Simple Stone," and it's actually a short video for him. He usually does really long videos, but he was talking. He was doing the video because a lot of people have been emailing him saying that they're losing hope and that kind of thing, and so he was talking about David and Goliath and stuff like that, and he got to Moses. He started talking about Moses, and he was talking about how when they got to the Red Sea and they were cornered and the Egyptians were right behind them, that Moses was, God, what am I supposed to do? And God didn't answer right away. God didn't tell Moses right away what to do. And what ended up happening, there was half of the group, half of the Israelites, because they were all panicky, they started turning on Moses and saying it's Moses' fault. Yes, it's him. We have to execute him. We'll cut his head off. We'll put it on a stick and take it to Pharaoh and ask for forgiveness and tell him we'll work twice as hard in our slavery. And this was the same group always. Like if you read, anybody who's read Exodus, you know how like every other page is, as soon as Moses disappears, the Israelites are tearing off their clothes and they're building up the false idol. And that's somehow gonna, it's every other page. It's like toddlers. It's truly like toddlers. When they get mad, they don't know how to, so they just, they rip their clothes off. That's what it reminds me of. But they did this over and over and over again. And God would say, I'm not leaving you. I'm here. Please stop building up false idols. Then what would they do? The next turn of the page, and there they are. They're ripping their clothes off again because they don't know where Moses is, and they're building a false idol. It's true. It's like Exodus is a long book, and a lot of it is that stuff. Like God continually having to reassure them and tell them, no, I've not gone anywhere. Talk about, attachment disorder. But Trey Smith was making really more of a point because he had mentioned rhinos. But he said, there was half of that group that were loyal to Moses, but then turned on him. The moment, they were cornered, still showing the lack of faith. And I think that's why God waited before he told Moses what to do. Not that he did it, not that those Israelites were killed or anything because of that, but it was showing the group that did stay loyal, the other half that look at, these are the problem makers. These are the ones that infiltrate. Yeah, maybe not back then, but maybe in modern day time, because there's a lot of people. And do you get what I'm laying down here? Because I just did a video recently about what Moses was doing. Moses was eradicating slavery. I said it. I know Trump was doing that. I know it firsthand, as I said in a video in just the last few days. So, or in the last week. And yet it's the same story repeating. So I think there's people that you don't know that do try daily to do God's will, that they just don't tell you. It's between them and God, but they try to do God's will. And I believe that Trump is one of those people, and I most especially believe it because he doesn't ever talk about the generous deeds he does. It's other people that talk about it. He doesn't. He doesn't really like to talk about it. If he's asked about it, he'll confirm it, but that's it. And yet, if he had such an ego like Dave Rubin and all these people have claimed about Trump, he would be bragging about all that stuff. No, he just tries to do God's will. And so I think that that's what he's tried to do in his presidency. And I think that true believers and people that have discernment, and maybe even, and this isn't for those people that they're struggling in their faith or anything. I'm not trying to say you're infiltrators, but there's a bunch of people that are deliberately, like they're pushing this, like that this, is this and that and the other and every horrible thing under the sun, and it's all designed to make really so they can turn it on Trump, just like those half of the Israelites turned on Moses. So it's to make you see how biblical it is, because the Bible is the repeating story. So there's a bunch of people that have wanted to take Trump down, and that's why they're showing themselves. I said earlier, I live in the country. Down the street, on farmland with a farmhouse on it, is a big Freemason sign with the compass and the G and everything. It hasn't been up there more than a few weeks. It was never there before. So that wickedness is showing itself, because even though there's a bunch of people that lack in faith, and that, or don't believe at all, believe me, that wickedness, that church of Satan, they all know what time it is. They know what time it is. They do. That's why they're outing themselves. They're not trying to hide it anymore. So, this is what Trey said, and I love this. He said, "For the wicked, this place is probably the closest to heaven they will ever get. And for the righteous, this place is the closest to hell that you will ever live through." It's beautiful, isn't it? And there's nothing, you shouldn't feel hopeless. God comes in always at the last minute. He makes a grand entrance, it's God. He does his best work at that last moment. He does. He always does. And it talks about that in the Bible, to show his glory. It's to show people it's the truth. So, recognize that those people that want to steer you, want to make you, it's all this about Trump, and they likely either have been planning that all along, or they're lacking in faith, but they need to ask God for some discernment to help them discern, because there's I think plenty of us that see the truth, and there's nothing that's going to shake us from that place, because we know better, and it's because we know, right? I'm sure I'm not the only one that understands what I'm saying. So I think what's interesting about what's happening is there's already been those people that have fallen, and they've shown their true colors. Dave Rubin, Michael Knowles, many others, many of those mainstream media, all of them. And the book of Revelations is called Revelations, revealing the truth, because God reveals the truth before he comes. Before Jesus comes. It's the revealing. That's what this has all been about the last several years, is the revealing of truth. And so it's even down to those people that may not seem so mainstream, but you're seeing the truth of them for a reason, because all truth is revealed. And then there's those people, they haven't fully gone all against Trump yet, but you see they're like that head bobble. They're like, you can see they're going to go there soon because they have to, or they're not sure. The biggest mistake to make is to blame him for this, because we don't understand it quite yet. But the one thing I do know is it's not no, he was doing God's will. So we may not understand all of things going on, but you need to have some faith here and ask God for some discernment, because truly God is revealing who all the infiltrators are, who all the bad actors are, who all the wicked people are. And he's doing it for a reason, because he's revealing the truth to everyone. And there may be people that don't want to see it. That's the road they've chosen. There's one thing right now that's really important. There's no middle of the road. If you don't pick a side, then you've already picked the other side. So, just something to think about. Don't fall for any of the tricksters that want to make you think Trump is to blame for everything on earth. No, God is just revealing who those people truly are, and they're the slimiest on the earth.